Welcome back to Anesti TV. I'm just going to talk kind of about the things that I have realized recently regarding religion and a cultural relationship to religion. And it's probably not what you expect when I say that, because as far as this channel goes, I usually talk about orthodoxy or other religions. I don't talk about a whole lot else. Sometimes I delve into some cultural stuff, but I'm just going to try to keep it kind of natural and what I'm thinking, not be too worried about the being so articulate or anything, because I haven't been focused on an SD lately. This past week, well, it's finals week now, but the week before that was the last week of Lent, and it was Holy Week, and so I had all these videos being filmed and commentaries and stuff that I didn't get out there. So this is just sort of not a makeup, because I will upload a lot of that eventually. I just haven't been so focused. But today I was just kind of feeling a little bit down because I haven't been doing much productive, and so I was watching YouTube and I found something that kind of interested me, and I was watching videos that were talking about sports, and one thing sort of led to another, and I came across this video about sports, and the guy made the video and he used audio from a Ken Robinson. Now, Ken Robinson is a writer and speaker who he's kind of written these motivational books, and sort of books designed to make you cause you to reflect on your life. And his main book is The Element, how finding your passion changes everything. You may have heard of it. I think I've seen the book itself. I haven't read it or anything, but it's just one of those books about, I don't know, being a better person through finding your purpose. Well, anyway, in this video, this audio clip, he talks from his book, and this really caught my attention. He goes into talking about herd mentality, sort of, in that people, they want something to elevate themselves, and so what do they do in our modern society? Since, and I think we can all agree, there's something going wrong in society as a whole. It's just, I'm not the only one, I know that, but, and not to get all conspiracy-like, but there's a feeling of, I can feel it, and we can see in different aspects that happening. So, without getting all too Debbie Downer-like, I'll just talk about what he says. He's talking, and the person who put the video together put these pictures of sports fans. There were clips of, there were images, I think there were clips in it too, of fans sort of rioting after Canucks game. Familiar with hockey? Yes, Vancouver is apparently a very riotous, I guess, city when it comes to sports, and they lit police cars on fire, most notably, I think it was a few years ago, and just went nuts. I mean, if you've ever seen Bruce Almighty, the part where the Sabres, similarly, they win the Stanley Cup or they get to Santa Cup or whatever it was, and there's mass riots because of it. It's really stupid. It's something that I don't understand it. It's kind of like when the it's not even unlike this. It's when a teen gets shot by a cop and, oh, let's destroy our neighborhood. What kind of logic is that? You want something to be better. In this case, the sports make less sense because it's not anger. They're happy. They're actually, I don't understand it. But it shows pictures of this stuff, and the people painted all in their team's colors, like, I don't know, like overzealous gang members or something. And really, he talks about this mentality of, since, and it was kind of felt like an underhanded statement saying society's screwed up something and that the people don't have power, so they use sports to feel as if through proxy of these sports players they have power. And it makes total sense. And I found other videos similar to that, and it reminded me of a thought I had recently. And I have these flashbulb moments, and usually I make videos when I do. At least I think I do. Sometimes I forget about it, like in this case, until something really reminds me. I thought, people talk about, oh, the religious fanatics, and extremism, ISIS, and other terrorist groups. People talk about ISIS as if there was no Al Qaeda or anything before that. Al Qaeda and just as bad groups. It's kind of funny to me, but this public discourse on religion is that, oh, there are two groups of religious people. Really, there's three groups of people. There's either the religious zealots, and they're usually far right wing, as if it's a political thing, and then there's the moderates, and then I guess the third would be the liberals in all these groups, like in Islam and Christianity and Judaism and whatever else you have. People are like, oh, well, there's the fundamentalists, and they always say that as if it's a bad thing, when it literally just means you adhere to the fundamentals of something, obviously. But that's usually how it's seen, as sort of more of a spectrum instead of just, as in orthodoxy, I would say, this is the Christian faith and this is how it works. And there is no really, there's only two groups in that case. There's devoted people and there's not. And so it's different from fundamentalism and liberalism in this very confusing at times sort of, especially Christian landscape. But that's how people talk about these things. And so what I realized was that there is this third group, or maybe fourth group, and those are the atheists and agnostics. And the really, really not undevoted people who just, they may be nominally religious, but they just do not have any devotion. It's not even a part of their life. In this fourth group, I realized that, man, these people are religious too. Because what they do is they find something else to attempt to fill that void of good faith, anyway. And maybe it's just that they want something to be super passionate about, which faith usually is. At least in my case it is. And I feel terrible when I'm not at my best, when I know I haven't, I've sort of gone off a different way and haven't been devout. But they want that. They want lifestyle. They want the fullness, if you will. So, for example, I can think of gay pride as a great example. And yes, I at one point also thought that, in fact, before thinking of sports as a religion or an alternate religion, I thought of this gay pride or LGBT movement as sort of the same thing. Because these people identify with their sexuality more so than it seems like anything else. And that's a good thing in our culture. It's like, oh yeah, you're gay, you're a lesbian, you're whatever. Heterosexuals aren't generally like that. At least the stereotype that came to my mind just now is, oh well, a straight male likes likes sports, likes guns, likes whatever. So I guess the idea is if you don't have that religion of sexuality, then you're going to have that religion of sports and, heck, food or whatever it may be, a fandom. And I've noticed with people my age, I'm 19, almost 20, but people of this younger generation, they have their religion too. And the funny thing is if you look at the stats, I think it was like millennials are, I think it was around 20% very religious, and over half of us are not religious at all, or something like that. So this big amount of people in the range of 18 to 30, they're not religious, and it's becoming less so. So the next generation, whatever that is, who knows, they could be the most atheistic, as in, I believe there is no God, or I say I know there is no God, which would be a far cry from, like, what generation, well, the baby boomers especially, but I can't say at this point, because we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's a projection that it's just going to continue. That's just kind of how things go. Once they start rolling, it's kind of hard to stop it. And it's not looking to be that religion is in favorable view at this point, and the politics are just perpetuating it, and the culture is changing, and it's just not prime for a real spiritual revolution or growth of faith, especially Orthodox faith. And that's what's sad to me. And I use Orthodox in this case as not just Orthodoxy itself, which, especially Orthodoxy, it is growing, but maybe not at the rate it should or we'd like. And I think that's why you see a rise in fundamentalists, like Islamists and terrorism, is because people want something other than this blatantly anti-religious, this blatantly secular and really anti-God society that has made sports and video games, movies, books, television shows. These fandoms are taking over the religious identity of Americans. Heck, of really most Western culture, and even old Eastern culture. I mean, it's more of the pop culture, I think, is replaced. It's very easy to see. It's replaced God in almost every way. For a lot of people, not just millennials. Again, this applies to across the board. Like, baby boomers down. Television is a prime example. Why in the heck do we watch television? I've asked myself this, and since asking it, more so subconsciously, I stopped watching TV so much. In fact, oddly enough, I think I watch one show a week. I can say one show a week. Recently I've been watching a bit more of the news. But even the news is like entertainment, flashy, and I watch the PBS NewsHour for like 5 minutes at a time. Once, maybe a few times this week. Other than that, there's been no like very serious news watching of mine. So I'll go all day and not turn the TV on at all for the reason of no interest. I lost interest. And TV shows, I think the only TV show that, well, Arthur's not on all the time, so yeah, you know Arthur. But yeah, I watch one show a week with my mom, and I think that's it. Like I said, I check on the news or whatever, weather, but no. And it's great. It's not like, it's not a worry of mine, and it's not something that takes up a lot of my time. Now, the internet has, and that's not much better, but I don't get so attached to a show. I'm not always talking about it, and always like, oh, did you catch the new episode of that, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe it's because my friends aren't that way anymore. I had friends like that. They would talk about this show for an hour, and I'm sitting there thinking, how can you do this? I want to talk about theology over here. And you guys are talking about music and these shows. It's not even a movie. It's not even like a classic movie. It's not even like when people quote the movies line for line. That's, I think, obsessive, but it's like a devotion to this show that they have, and I cannot understand that. But thinking about it and seeing this, Ken Robinson, hearing this audio, I just realized what it is. And it's scary. Because if you look at sports are a multi-billion-dollar thing in America alone. Absolutely massive. The funny thing is, I have a little tie-in. Gosh. Like, let's see here. Sports are beyond television. And I'm gonna show my guilt at times with this. Video games, it ties in. It's all, oh, that's a great game. Madden and FIFA, EA Sports, they're all two FIFAs. I actually have a third FIFA. I didn't buy all these, but the idea is there of it's not just the sports themselves, but the products, the merchandise. I have Royals hats. I have other hats. MLB. How much people pay for stuff like this. Again, I'm a little guilty, but I wouldn't go. I don't watch the teams hardly at all. Even the Royals. When I was a massive fan, if you will, of the Cardinals, I didn't watch them. And it's okay to like a team. It is, and whatnot. But when you start riots, when you're always checking in on the team all day long, fantasy leagues, and catching every game on TV, or paying like $50 a month, heck, like I heard it was $20 for just like radio situation for a season. That's a lot to be spending. And this is what people do. They've made it to where even talking about it now is kind of, it's saddening ultimately, but it's not about the money spent. It's about the time, the mental space filled up. These people are so just enveloped in it. They live and breathe. You know, when people say, "Oh, he eats, breathes, and whatever, lives football," knowing how or why is beyond me. But I see the ramifications of it. I see what kind of what the cause may be deep down, and what that can have an effect on someone. And I think it's just a byproduct of our changing society, and it's not changing in a great way. And along with sports and sexuality, which, gosh, just all you need to understand about sexuality is go to a pride parade. I haven't been to one, even though I had a few opportunities to. Not gonna happen. And the more I see of what they're like, I don't need to go and be a part of that. And I don't support the ideology behind this. I don't support someone identifying with their sexuality. For one, the sexuality that I know is beneficial is monogamous, a lifelong thing, a connection with two people, alone, by the way. So this idea of flaunting this and then being so entrenched in it to where when people ask you, you say you're gay, even if it's a reaction to, oh, we were always covered up by the society that was. That's weird to me. I don't think people are stepping back and saying, you know, this is a little bit too much. Sports, sexuality, and politics especially. I think politics is equally as like a religion. So that's what people have done. They've gone from God to building gods. And that's the conclusion, because I'm out of time and there's a little signal coming up like a dashboard light. I don't know what's going on. So I will see you guys later in the next rant or talk.